Captain Daeho Kim stood at the window of his ship and watched the stars. He had been traveling through space for 3 weeks now. His mission was simple but dangerous. The human government wanted him to watch a war that had been going on for thousands of years. The war was between 2 alien races. Nobody in the galaxy could stop it. The fourth hegemony controlled the northern part of the galaxy. They were big reptile-like creatures with thick skin and sharp teeth. Their ships were huge and covered in heavy armor. The Vorth believed in honor and strength above all else. The other side was the Kalari Federation. These aliens were made of pure energy and could talk to each other with their minds. They moved like living light and could control machines just by thinking about them. Their ships glowed bright blue and could appear and disappear like ghosts. For over 3,000 years, these two groups had been fighting. Whole planets had been destroyed. Billions of lives were lost. The space between their territories was filled with broken ships and dead worlds. Everyone called it the Death Zone. Lieutenant Soo-Jin Park walked up to Captain Kim. She held a datapad in her hands. "Sir, we are getting close to the meeting point," she said. "The Galactic Council ship is waiting for us." Kim nodded. The Galactic Council was made up of smaller alien races who stayed neutral in the war. They were tired of the fighting. Last month, they had sent a message to Earth asking for help. Humans were new to the galaxy. Most aliens thought humans were too young and weak to matter. But the Council was desperate. "What do our sensors show?" Kim asked. "There was a big battle here last week," Park replied. "Both sides lost many ships. The Vorth sent 200 battleships. The Kalari had 300 light cruisers. After 12 hours of fighting, only 50 ships from each side made it home." Kim shook his head. This was how every battle went. Both sides would meet in space, fight until most of their ships were destroyed, then go home to build more ships. Neither side ever won. Neither side ever gave up. Commander Woo-Bin Lee joined them at the window. He was an old soldier who had fought in Earth's last civil war 20 years ago. "I have been reading about this conflict," he said. "These aliens fight like it is some kind of game. They have rules. They warn each other before attacks. They only fight in space, never on planets where people live." "That sounds honorable," Park said. "It sounds stupid," Lee replied. "How can you win a war if you follow your enemy's rules?" Kim's communication officer called out from across the bridge. "Captain, we are being contacted by the Council ship." "Put them through," Kim said. The main screen flickered and showed an alien with gray skin and 4 arms. This was Ambassador Nex, leader of the Galactic Council. "Captain Kim, welcome. Thank you for coming so far from your home." "We are happy to help," Kim said. "But I must ask, why do you think humans can solve this problem?" "We are new here. We do not have big armies or advanced weapons." Ambassador Nex looked tired. "Captain, this war has been going on since before my species learned to fly. We have tried everything. We sent our best diplomats. We offered both sides money, technology, even entire star systems. Nothing works. The Vorth and Kalari seem to enjoy fighting more than they want peace." "Maybe they need a fresh view," Kim said. "That is what we hope," Nex replied. "You humans think differently than we do. Perhaps you will see something we have missed." The next day, Kim's ship met with a Vorth battle group. The alien ships were massive. Each one was the size of a small city. They were dark gray and covered with weapon ports. When the Vorth commander appeared on screen, Kim was surprised by how big he was. The alien stood over 8 feet tall and had yellow eyes that seemed to glow. "I am War Leader Thax," the alien said in a deep voice. "The Council says you want to learn about our conflict with the Kalari scum." "We want to understand both sides," Kim said carefully. Thax laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. "There is nothing to understand, small human. The Kalari attacked our colonies 3,000 years ago. We fight them because it is our duty. We fight them because they are our enemies. We will fight them until every last one is dead." "But sir," Park said, "the war has cost both sides so much. Surely there must be some way to make peace, my peace." Thax roared. "There can be no peace with energy ghosts who murder our people. We are warriors. We do not run from fights." The communication ended suddenly. Lee turned to Kim. "That went well," he said with sarcasm. 2 days later, they met with the Kalari. Their ships were beautiful. They looked like they were made of liquid light. When the Kalari leader spoke, her voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "We are Overmind Zalani," she said. "We speak for all Kalari. The Council believes you can help end our struggle with the Vorth beasts. Can you tell us how this war started?" Kim asked. The Vorth invaded our sacred worlds, Zelani replied. They destroyed our ancient sites. They killed our children. We defend ourselves because we must. We fight because the Vorth understand only violence. Park leaned forward. But both sides have suffered so much. Is there no way to forgive and start over? Forgive? The alien's voice became cold. The Vorth have no souls. They cannot understand forgiveness. They know only destruction. We will fight until they learn to respect life. After that meeting, Kim called his officers together. So, he said, both sides claim the other started the war. Both sides say they fight for good reasons. Both sides refuse to consider peace. They are stuck, Lee said. Each side thinks they are right. Each side thinks the other is evil. Park looked at her notes. I noticed something strange. When we asked about peace, both leaders got angry, but they also seemed excited, like they enjoyed talking about the war. Kim nodded slowly. I think you are right. After 3,000 years, this war has become their whole life. They do not know how to exist without it. So what do we tell the council? Lee asked. Kim stared out at the stars where another battle had been fought just days ago. Pieces of destroyed ships still floated in space like metal snow. We tell them the truth. This war cannot be stopped by normal means. Both sides are addicted to fighting. They would rather die than change. Then what can anyone do? Park asked. Kim was quiet for a long moment. I do not know yet, he said finally. But I think the council was right to call us. Sometimes it takes an outsider to see what everyone else has missed. As Kim's ship headed back toward human space, he thought about what he had learned. The Vorth and Kalari were not evil. They were trapped by their own history and pride. They had been fighting so long that they had forgotten any other way to live. But Kim was starting to form an idea. It was a dangerous idea that might change everything. 6 months had passed since Captain Kim first met the warring aliens. Now he was back with a bigger team. Admiral Borajang had sent her best people to study the endless war. They wanted to understand everything about how the Vorth and Kalari fought. Dr. Yejun Choi sat in his lab studying alien psychology reports. He was the smartest person Kim knew when it came to understanding how different minds worked. This is fascinating, he said to Kim. Both species think about war in completely different ways than humans do. How so? Kim asked. Look at this. Choi pointed to his screen. The Vorth see war as a test of strength. They believe the strongest should win. But they also have strict rules about how to fight. They must challenge enemies directly. They cannot attack from behind. They must give their enemies time to prepare for battle. That seems inefficient, Kim said. Exactly. And the Kalari are even stranger. They fight as one mind. But they also believe war should be beautiful. They create patterns with their ships during battles. They try to make their attacks look like art. Both sides care more about fighting properly than winning quickly. Lieutenant Park walked into the lab carrying more data. I have been watching their battles for months, she said. They are very predictable. Both sides always fight the same way. The Vorth line up their big ships and shoot at each other. The Kalari dance around and try to confuse them. Then they both retreat when too many ships are destroyed. Major Han Yul Song joined the conversation. She was a special forces officer who had fought in many wars on Earth. I have been studying their tactics, she said. These aliens have never heard of surprise attacks. They always announce when they are coming. They never attack supply lines. They never target the enemy's home planets. It is like they are playing a game instead of fighting a real war. Kim nodded. This matched what he had observed. What else have you learned? Song pulled up a tactical display. Neither side uses psychological warfare. They never try to make the enemy afraid or confused. They just shoot at each other until someone gives up. Also, they never attack civilian targets. Even during the worst battles, they leave merchant ships and colony transports alone. That is honorable, Park said. It is also stupid, Song replied. In a real war, you attack everything that helps your enemy. You cut off their supplies. You make their people lose hope. You make them want to surrender. These aliens do none of that. Dr. Choi had been listening carefully. I think I understand what is happening, he said. Both species have evolved to fight in specific ways. The Vorth are predators who hunt in groups. They want to test their strength against other strong enemies. The Kalari are energy beings who value harmony and beauty. Even in war, they try to create order and patterns. But humans evolved differently, Kim said, starting to understand. Yes, Choi said excitedly. Humans are survivors. We adapt. We use every advantage we can find. When we fight to win, not to prove how strong or beautiful we are. Commander Wu Bin Li had been quiet during this discussion. Finally, he spoke up. I have been watching their supply systems, he said. Both sides have massive factories that build new ships to replace the ones they lose. They have been doing this for thousands of years. The war has become their entire economy. What do you mean? Kim asked. Think about it, Li said. They fight a battle. They lose ships. They go home and build more ships. Then they fight again. Millions of aliens work in these factories. Their whole society is built around making weapons for a war that never ends. Park looked confused. But why do they keep fighting if they know they cannot win? Song answered her. Because they do not know how to do anything else. The Vorth measure their worth by how well they fight. The Kalari see the war as a sacred duty. Both sides would rather die than admit the war is pointless. Kim walked to the window and looked out at space. In the distance, he could see the lights of another battle beginning. So we have two species that are trapped by their own nature, he said. They fight because that is all they know how to do. Exactly, Dr. Choi said. And because they follow such strict rules, neither side can gain an advantage. They are perfectly matched. The war will go on forever unless something changes. What kind of change? Park asked. Song smiled, but it was not a happy smile. The kind of change they will not like, she said. Over the next few weeks, the human team observed dozens of battles. Every single one followed the same pattern. The Vorth would approach with their massive battleships in neat formations. The Kalari would respond with their light, fast ships moving in complex dances. They would fight for hours until both sides had lost too many ships to continue. Then they would retreat to their home territories to build more ships and plan the next battle. I have counted the losses, Li reported. In the last month, the Vorth lost 43 major ships. The Kalari lost 38. Both sides consider this a draw. How many people died? Park asked. About 12,000 on each side, Li said quietly. The room fell silent. 12,000 deaths for nothing. No territory gained. No strategic advantage. Just death and destruction that would be repeated next month and the month after that. Dr. Choi had been studying the alien leaders during this time. I have been analyzing their communications, he said. Both war leader Thax and Overmind Zalani talk about the war like it is a sport. They get excited when they plan battles. They seem proud when their enemies fight well. They enjoy it, Kim said with disgust. I think they do, Choi replied. After 3,000 years, the war has become entertainment for them. It gives their lives meaning. Without the war, they would not know who they are. Major Song had been working on something for weeks. Now she called the team together to share what she had found. I have been studying human military history, she said. I compared our wars to this alien conflict. The difference is shocking. She showed them pictures of human battles throughout history. When humans fight, we adapt. We change our tactics. We use new weapons. We attack weak points. We try to end wars as quickly as possible because war is terrible. And these aliens? Kim asked. They never change, Song said. I found battle records going back 1,000 years. They fight exactly the same way now as they did then. Same tactics, same rules, same results. Why? Park asked. Because changing would mean admitting their way of fighting is wrong, Dr. Choi explained. For species that have built their entire identity around being great warriors, that is impossible. Admiral Jang contacted them that evening with new orders. The Galactic Council is getting desperate, she said. 3 more star systems were damaged in battles this month. They want us to try direct mediation. Do you think that will work? Kim asked. No, Jang said honestly. But we have learned what we need to know. These aliens are stuck in patterns they cannot break. If we want to stop this war, we will have to do something they do not expect. What do you have in mind? Kim asked. Something they have never seen before, Yang said. Something that will force them to change whether they want to or not. After the communication ended, Kim's team sat in silence. They all understood what the Admiral was suggesting. To stop this war, humans might have to start a new one. Are we really going to do this? Park asked quietly. Kim looked at the tactical displays showing the latest battle damage. More ships destroyed, more lives lost, more resources wasted on a war that served no purpose except to feed the egos of 2 stubborn species. If it will save lives, he said finally, then yes, we are going to show them what real war looks like. The surrender came not with grand speeches or dramatic ceremonies. but with a simple message transmitted to Admiral Jang's flagship. War leader Thax and Overmind Zilani, the two most powerful beings in the galaxy just months ago, now spoke from damaged command ships with depleted fleets. "We request terms," the message said. Nothing more. Captain Kim stood beside Admiral Jang on the bridge as they received the transmission. The space around them told the story of human victory. Thousands of pieces of alien wreckage drifted in the darkness. The once mighty fleets that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia were reduced to scattered remnants hiding behind their remaining shields. "Open a channel," Admiral Jang ordered. The main screen showed both alien leaders sharing the same communication. For the first time in 3,000 years, Thax and Zilani were working together, not to fight a common enemy, but to beg for mercy from one. "Humans," Thax said, his voice lacking its former strength, "we acknowledge your superior tactics. You have defeated us. You fight without honor, but you fight effectively," Zilani added. Her energy form seemed dimmer than before. "What are your demands?" Admiral Jang looked at them for a long moment. These beings had commanded millions of warriors and ruled vast empires. Now they sat broken before a species they had dismissed as weak primitives. "My demands are simple," Jang said finally. "Complete ceasefire between your peoples, withdrawal of all military forces from the neutral zone, and submission to human oversight of your future conflicts." "Human oversight?" Thax's voice rose slightly. "You would rule over us?" "I would save you from yourselves," Jang replied. "Your war has lasted 3,000 years and accomplished nothing but death. Under human management, we will find better ways for you to resolve your differences." Lieutenant Park stepped forward. Over the past months, she had evolved from a simple intelligence officer to one of humanity's chief alien negotiators. "We are not interested in conquest," she said. "We want to build a peaceful galaxy where all species can prosper." "And if we refuse?" Zilani asked. Commander Lee answered from the tactical station. "Then we continue fighting until you have no ships left at all." "Your choice." The negotiations that followed took place on Earth itself. For the first time, representatives of the two great alien empires visited humanity's homeworld. What they found there shocked them more than any military defeat. Ambassador Nex from the Galactic Council accompanied the alien delegates. As their ship approached Earth, he watched their faces carefully. "This is impossible," Thax muttered, staring at the planet through the viewport. "Where are the fortress cities? The orbital weapon platforms? The military shipyards?" Below them, Earth looked peaceful. Green continents covered in cities that gleamed with lights. Orbital stations dedicated to science and commerce, not war. Ships moving peacefully between planets, carrying goods and passengers instead of weapons and soldiers. "This is how the humans live?" Zilani asked in wonder. "But they defeated us so completely. How can their world be so undefended?" "Because they do not need defenses," Nex explained. "Humans only fight when they must. The rest of the time they build and create and explore." Dr. Choi met the alien delegation at the spaceport. As Earth's leading expert on alien psychology, he had been chosen to help them understand their new reality. "Welcome to Earth," he said simply. "I hope your stay here will help you see new possibilities for your own peoples." The peace talks were held in Geneva, in the same building where humans had once negotiated the end of their own wars. Captain Kim served as military advisor while Diplomat An handled the formal negotiations. "Let us be clear about what has happened," Admiral Jang began. "Your 3,000-year war is over. Not because we destroyed your fleets, though we could have. Not because we conquered your worlds, though we could do that too. It is over because you finally met an enemy that refused to play by your rules." Thax shifted uncomfortably in his specially built chair. "We underestimated you," he admitted. "We thought you were weak because you avoided direct confrontation. We thought you were primitives because you used deception and surprise," Zilani added. "We were wrong. You were not wrong about our methods," Jang said. "We do use deception. We do attack by surprise. We do target supply lines and communication networks. When humans fight, we fight to win as quickly as possible with the fewest casualties." "But why?" Thax asked. "Where is the honor in such tactics?" Dr. Choi leaned forward. "That is the difference between our species," he explained. "You fight for honor and glory. Humans fight to survive and protect what we love. When the fighting is over, we want to go home to our families, not die in glorious battle." Over the following weeks, the alien leaders were given tours of human society. They visited schools where children learned science and art instead of warfare. They saw factories that produced consumer goods instead of weapons. They met families living peaceful lives without fear of sudden attack. How do you resolve disputes without combat? Zelani asked during one of these visits. We talk, Park explained. We negotiate. We compromise. We find solutions that benefit everyone instead of trying to prove who is stronger. But what if talking fails? Thax asked. Then we try harder, Park said with a smile. Humans can be very stubborn when we want something. The formal peace treaty was signed on a beautiful spring day in Earth's capital. For the first time in galactic history, representatives of every major species gathered to witness the end of the Great War. War leader Thax and Overmind Zelani sat at the same table, no longer enemies but not quite friends either. Between them sat Admiral Jang, now officially designated as the first Galactic Peace Coordinator. By this treaty, Diplomat An announced, the Vorth Hegemony and the Kalari Federation agreed to permanent ceasefire. All territorial disputes will be mediated by human representatives. Military forces will be reduced by 75% over the next 5 years. Furthermore, Admiral Jang added, both species will participate in joint colonization projects in previously contested systems. You will learn to work together instead of fighting each other. The signing ceremony was broadcast across the galaxy. Billions of beings who had known nothing but war their entire lives watched as their leaders agreed to try something new. But the real changes came later, in the months and years that followed. Captain Kim, now promoted to ambassador, oversaw the conversion of military factories to civilian production. Commander Lee helped establish the new Galactic Defense Force, a joint military organization designed to protect trade routes and respond to emergencies rather than wage war. Major Song found herself in charge of cultural exchange programs. Her job was to help former enemies learn to understand each other. The hardest part, she reported to Admiral Jang, is convincing them that their differences can be strengths instead of reasons to fight. The transformation was not easy. There were incidents, misunderstandings, and moments when old hatreds threatened to resurface. But each time conflict arose, human mediators stepped in with solutions that neither alien side had considered. Dr. Choi established the Galactic Institute for Conflict Resolution, where beings from all species could learn peaceful problem-solving techniques. War is a failure of imagination, he often told his students. When you cannot imagine any solution except violence, you have stopped thinking. 5 years after the treaty was signed, Ambassador Kim stood in the same space where the great alien fleets had once gathered for battle. Now it was a bustling trade hub where Vorth and Kalari ships docked side by side. Former enemies worked together to load cargo and plan joint expeditions to explore new worlds. Admiral, he said into his communicator, you should see this. A Vorth construction crew and a Kalari engineering team are working together to build a new space station. They are actually competing to see who can do the best work. Admiral Jang's laughter came through the speaker. Competitive cooperation, I like it. Much better than competitive destruction. The galaxy was not perfect. There were still problems, still conflicts that needed resolution. But for the first time in 3,000 years, those conflicts were being solved with words instead of weapons. The Great War was over. The age of human peace had begun. As Kim watched a group of young aliens, Vorth and Kalari together, learning to pilot ships designed for exploration rather than destruction, he smiled. Humanity had not won the war through superior strength or technology. They had won by refusing to accept that war was inevitable. Sometimes the greatest victory was simply showing others that there was a better way to live. Thanks for you. The attack came exactly as expected. 10,000 alien ships approached human space in perfect formation. War leader Thax commanded the Vorth forces on the left. Overmind Zelani led the Kalari on the right. Between them, they had enough firepower to destroy entire planets. Captain Kim watched from his ship as the enemy fleet grew larger on the sensors. They are not even trying to hide, he said to Major Song. Look at them. Perfect line, steady approach, all weapons visible. They want us to see them coming. Of course they do, Song replied. This is how they have always fought. They announce their attacks. They give enemies time to prepare. They think it makes them honorable. It makes them predictable, Commander Lee said from the tactical station. And predictable enemies are dead enemies. Admiral Jang's voice came over the communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Jang. Today we face an enemy that outnumbers us 30-1. They expect us to line up and fight them ship to ship like the good little soldiers they think we are. They are wrong. She paused, and Kim could hear the determination in her voice. These aliens have been playing war games for 3,000 years. They follow rules. They fight with honor. They warn their enemies before attacking. Today, they learn that humans do not play games. When humans fight, we fight to win. Execute Operation Chaos. The human fleet scattered in all directions. Instead of forming battle lines, they broke into small groups and vanished into the darkness of space. The aliens had expected a traditional battle. Instead, they found empty space. Where did they go? Thax roared over the communication channels. Cowards. Face us in honorable combat. They run like prey animals, Zelani said with disgust. Perhaps they realized they cannot win. But the humans were not running. They were hunting. Captain Kim's ship, along with 5 others, had moved to attack the alien supply convoy following behind the main fleet. These ships carried fuel, ammunition, and spare parts for the war fleet. In any normal battle, they would be completely safe. No honorable warrior would attack defenseless supply ships. Humans had different ideas about honor. Target the fuel tankers first, Kim ordered. Then the ammunition ships. Leave the crew transports alone unless they shoot at us. The attack was swift and brutal. The supply ships had no weapons and weak shields. They were designed to carry cargo, not fight battles. Within minutes, half the alien fleet's supplies were burning wreckage floating in space. Human ship, came a desperate transmission from one of the alien captains. We are not military vessels. We carry only supplies. Then surrender, Kim replied. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Surrender? The alien sounded confused. But we are not even fighting you. Exactly, Kim said. That is why you should surrender. Similar attacks were happening all across the battle zone. Major Song led a team that destroyed the aliens' communication relays. Without these, the vast enemy fleet could not coordinate their movements. Commander Jiwoo Nam's special forces had infiltrated the alien command ships and were spreading confusion among their computer systems. Most shocking of all, some human ships were using kamikaze tactics. When faced with overwhelming enemy firepower, they would ram their ships into alien vessels at full speed. The aliens had never seen anything like it. They destroy their own ships, Thax said in horror. What kind of warriors kill themselves? Warriors who want to win, Admiral Jang replied over the communication channel. Something you would not understand. The battle that the aliens expected to last 12 hours was over in 6. But it was not the kind of battle they knew. There were no glorious ship-to-ship duels, no beautiful formations dancing through space, no honorable last stands. Instead, there was chaos. Human ships appeared from nowhere, struck quickly, and vanished again. They targeted weak points, supply lines, and communication systems. They used psychological warfare, broadcasting disturbing sounds and images that confused alien minds. They released clouds of metallic dust that made sensors useless. When the aliens tried to regroup, they found their fuel ships destroyed. When they tried to communicate, they found their relays jammed. When they tried to retreat, they found human ships blocking their escape routes. Colonel Ryu had spent months studying alien psychology. Now he put that knowledge to use. His ships broadcast messages designed to create fear and confusion among the enemy crews. To the Vorth, he sent images of their home planets burning and messages claiming their families were under attack. The proud warriors became desperate to return home to defend their loved ones. To the Kalari, he sent discordant frequencies that disrupted their hive mind communication. The energy beings who fought as one mind suddenly found themselves isolated and confused. This is not war, Thax screamed over the open channels. This is butchery. Fight us with honor. Honor is a luxury for those who can afford it, Admiral Jang replied. We cannot afford to lose. The most devastating attack came when Captain Kim's team discovered the aliens' weakness. Both species had been fighting for so long that they had developed rigid command structures. Each ship had a specific role and followed specific orders. They could not adapt when something unexpected happened. Kim realized this during the Battle of Proxima Station. The aliens had surrounded a human colony and were preparing to destroy it as an example. But when they arrived, they found the colony evacuating in panic. Thousands of human ships were fleeing in terror. The aliens felt proud. Finally, the humans were showing proper fear. They moved in to destroy the colony and the fleeing ships. It was a trap. The colony was empty. The fleeing ships were drones controlled by artificial intelligence. When the alien fleet moved in close to finish their attack, the evacuation ships exploded. They were bombs disguised as civilian vessels. The explosion destroyed 60 alien ships and damaged hundreds more. But worse than the physical damage was the psychological impact. The aliens realized they could not trust anything the humans did. They used deception, Zelani said with outrage. They disguise weapons as civilian ships. They have no honor at all. Thax agreed, but the humans were just getting started. Major Song's next operation targeted the aliens' most sacred belief, that war should be fought between soldiers, not involve civilians. Song's team kidnapped the families of several alien commanders, not to hurt them but to negotiate. She offered to return the families safely in exchange for the surrender of specific military units. The aliens were horrified. In 3,000 years of war, neither side had ever involved non-combatants. It was unthinkable. "You have crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed," Thax said in a transmission to Admiral Jang. "You fight without honor. You fight without rules. You are not warriors. You are criminals." "We are survivors," Jang replied, "and survivors do whatever it takes to protect their people." The war continued for 3 more months, but the outcome was never in doubt. Every week the human fleet grew stronger while the alien fleet grew weaker. The humans captured enemy ships and learned to use alien technology. They recruited alien prisoners who had grown tired of the endless war. They even convinced some alien colonies to switch sides. Most importantly, they never fought the kind of battle the aliens expected. There were no grand fleet actions, no honorable duels between champions, no glorious last stands. Instead, there was constant pressure. Human ships would appear, strike a target, and vanish before the aliens could respond. Supply convoys disappeared. Communication networks failed. Computer systems developed mysterious problems. The aliens tried to adapt, but they had forgotten how. After 3,000 years of following the same tactics, they could not change quickly enough to counter human innovations. Dr. Choi had been right. The aliens were psychologically addicted to their way of fighting. When humans refused to fight by their rules, they became confused and demoralized. "Admiral," Captain Kim reported after the latest engagement, "the alien fleet has lost 60% of its ships. Their supply lines are completely disrupted. Many of their crews are deserting." "And our losses?" Yang asked. 53 ships and about 8,000 personnel, Kim said. The numbers were shocking. In 6 months, humanity had destroyed thousands of alien ships while losing fewer than 100 of their own. It was the most one-sided war in galactic history, but Admiral Zhang took no pleasure in the victory. She knew that every destroyed ship contained living beings with families and dreams. The humans fought ruthlessly because they had to, not because they wanted to. "Send a message to both alien leaders," she ordered. "Tell them we are ready to discuss terms." The message was simple. "You wanted to teach us our place in the galaxy. Consider the lesson learned. Now let us teach you something about peace." The peace talks were held on a neutral space station in the middle of nowhere. Captain Kim stood in the main conference room and watched as the most powerful beings in the galaxy prepared to meet. Admiral Zhang had arrived with a small human fleet. The Galactic Council had provided the station and security. Now they waited for the real players to arrive. War leader Thax came first. His massive Vorth battleship was 3 times larger than any human vessel. When he entered the station, his heavy footsteps echoed through the metal corridors. He brought 20 of his best warriors, all of them armed and wearing battle armor. Thax himself stood over 8 feet tall, and his yellow eyes scanned the room like he was looking for enemies to fight. "Humans," he growled when he saw Kim. "I remember you. Still small. Still weak. Why are you here?" "We are here to help find peace," Item said diplomat Tae-Young-an. He was the best negotiator Earth had to offer. He spoke calmly and kept his hands visible to show he was not armed. Thax laughed, showing his sharp teeth. "Peace is for the dead. The living must fight." An hour later, the Kalari arrived. Their ships appeared like ghosts, shimmering into existence around the station. Overmind Zelani entered the conference room as a being of pure light. When she spoke, her voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "We sense the presence of the Vorth beast," she said. "Why have you brought our enemies here?" "To talk," An replied. "To find a way to end the suffering." "The only end to suffering is the destruction of those who cause it," Zelani said. Her light flickered with anger. Admiral Zhang entered the room and took her place at the head of the table. She was smaller than Thax and less impressive than Zelani, but something about her made both aliens pay attention. Perhaps it was the way she carried herself, like someone who had seen real war and survived. "Thank you both for coming," Jang said. "We have a proposal to make." "Speak quickly, human," Thax said. "I have battles to plan." Jang activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Red zones marked areas where battles had been fought. There were thousands of them. "For 3,000 years you have been fighting," she said. "Billions have died. Entire star systems have been destroyed. And what has been accomplished?" "We defend our honor," Thax said. "We protect the innocent," Zelani added. "Do you?" Jang asked. She changed the display to show casualty reports. "In the last year alone, 24 million Vorth have died in battle. 18 million Kalari have been lost. Your honor and protection is built on mountains of corpses." Both alien leaders shifted uncomfortably, but neither backed down. "The dead died with purpose," Thax said. "Their sacrifice has meaning," Zelani agreed. Jang changed the display again. Now it showed economic data. "Your civilizations spend 80% of their resources on this war. Your people live in poverty while you build ships to destroy each other. Your children grow up knowing nothing but violence. Is this the legacy you want to leave?" "You do not understand," Thax said, his voice rising. "This is not just a war. It is our way of life. It is who we are." "Then perhaps it is time to become something better," An suggested gently. Zelani's light flared brighter. "You dare to judge us, young species? You who have existed for mere moments in galactic time?" "We judge the results," Jang said firmly. "And the results are clear. This war serves no one except those who profit from death." For the next 3 hours, the humans presented their analysis. Dr. Choi explained how both species had become psychologically addicted to conflict. Major Song showed how their military tactics had become stagnant and ineffective. Commander Lee demonstrated how the war economy was destroying both civilizations from within. The aliens listened, but their faces showed no sign of acceptance. "What do you propose?" Thax finally asked. "A ceasefire," An said, "followed by gradual demilitarization. We can help you convert your war factories to civilian production. We can mediate territorial disputes. We can teach you new ways to resolve conflicts." "Impossible," Thax roared, standing up so fast his chair fell over. "The Kalari cannot be trusted. They are liars and murderers." "The Vorth speak of trust?" Zelani's voice became ice cold. "They who destroyed our sacred temples? They who slaughter our children? See?" Thax pointed at Zelani. "This is why peace is impossible. They blame us for defending ourselves." "You attacked first," Zelani shot back. "You invaded our space," Thax replied. Admiral Jang had heard enough. She stood up and her voice cut through the argument like a blade. "Stop," she said. "Both of you. This is exactly why this war will never end. You are both so focused on being right that you have forgotten how to be smart." The room fell silent. No one had ever spoken to these powerful beings this way. "You want to know what humans think?" Jang continued. "We think you are both fools. You have the technology to create paradise, but you use it to build weapons. You have the wisdom of ages, but you act like children fighting over toys. You call this war honorable, but there is no honor in pointless death." Thax's hand moved to his weapon. "You dare insult us?" "I speak the truth," Jang said without backing down. "And if you cannot handle the truth, then you are weaker than I thought." Zelani's light grew brighter. "The human shows disrespect. Perhaps both our species have been too tolerant of these newcomers." Something changed in the room. Both alien leaders turned to look at Admiral Jang with new interest. Not the interest of potential allies, but the interest of predators who had found new prey. "Yes," Thax said slowly. "Perhaps the humans need to learn their place in this galaxy. They interfere in matters beyond their understanding." Zelani agreed. "They show arrogance that must be corrected." Kim felt his blood run cold as he realized what was happening. The two eternal enemies were agreeing for the first time in 3,000 years. They were agreeing to destroy humanity. "Wait," An said quickly. "We only want to help." "Help?" Thax laughed. "You want to take away our purpose. You want to make us weak like you. You seek to end our sacred duties," Zelani added. "You would leave us empty and meaningless." Admiral Jang smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "So this is your choice," she said. "You would rather fight us than make peace with each other." "Finally you understand," Thax said. War is not a problem to be solved. War is life itself. Then you have made your decision, Zhang said. She turned to leave, followed by the other humans. Where are you going? Zelani called after them. To prepare, Zhang said without turning around. Prepare for what? Thax asked. Zhang stopped at the door and looked back. You want war? Then you shall have it, but not the kind of war you are used to. You have been playing games for 3,000 years. Now you will learn what real war looks like. As the humans left the station, Captain Kim could see both alien fleets massing in the distance. For the first time in millennia, the Vorth and Kalari were working together. They had found a common enemy. Admiral, Kim said quietly, they have 10,000 ships. We have 300. Numbers do not win wars, Zhang replied. Intelligence does, and they just prove they have none. Lieutenant Park looked worried. What do we do now? Admiral Zhang watched the alien fleets forming their attack formations. They were already following their old patterns, lining up for a traditional battle. Now we show them why humans survived when every other species on Earth went extinct, she said. We adapt. The first battle would begin within days. The aliens expected an easy victory against the weak humans. They planned to destroy the human fleet quickly, then return to their eternal war with renewed enthusiasm. They had no idea what was coming for them. Colonel Minho Ryu contacted the admiral from the human fleet. All ships are ready, Admiral. Psychological warfare protocols are active. Special operations teams are in position. Good, Zhang said. Remember, we are not just fighting for victory. We are fighting to save this galaxy from itself. Do whatever it takes. As the human ships moved into position, Kim realized that everything was about to change. The galaxy had known only one kind of war for thousands of years. Now it would learn that humans had invented dozens of different ways to fight. The age of honorable battle was about to end.